Hey, it's Tomi, the guys with the five eyes that you see. I've been gone for a while. Nobody noticed because nobody watches the channel. But, anyways, did a lot of moves, made a lot of crypto, got involved in sports cards. So, now I got the time to go back to YouTube. But today's subject we're going to talk about is Kevin Samuels, his popularity, and what it can mean for the black community. Now, if you don't know who Kevin Samuels is, he's essentially a dude who went from corporate sales to image consulting to, I think he still does image consulting and stuff, but now he's become a YouTube personality. And the biggest reason for his personality is the fact that Kevin essentially talks to women, most notably black women, but I mean, that's his focus is black women. He talks to them in a very straight and direct manner and tells them things that many other people with other black men of his notoriety and his level of fame would not really be able to say without getting a harsh canceling or very big drawbacks from social media. And the main gist of his show is essentially delusional women learning how to humble themselves to the degree where they can obtain a man. The word high value man gets thrown around on there a lot, but the truth is, and he says it a lot, most of the women that call on his show don't really need a high value man. They want one, but they don't even really need one. What they really need is a man who loves them, cares for them, and protects them. But, in black society, we have been at the bottom of the social ring in this country for so long. And now with the excess freedoms and liberties that we now have, a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of black women, but there's I'd say a vocal minority or majority, I can't tell which, of black women that feel entitled to essentially the 1% of black men, or at least the 5% of men. And everyone knows how that goes. They call it the 80-20 rule, but it's starting to look like the 95-5 rule, where basically all the women want this small subsect of men. And just to give you an idea of his content, we're going to watch this video right here really quickly. This one is about, it's just a pretty girl calling in, and let's just hear how the conversation goes.
And that you value, put it that way.
Yes, I attract.
All right. But the question is, what do the men you want from a woman? See, when you came on, you came out with the resume. I'm this, I'm that, I'm great, and that's fine. But tell me about what the men that you want from a woman. Run that resume down.
And they want all the qualities that I have. I would.
Well, then you should have no problem.
That's what I'm saying. I should have no problem.
But
I get attracted.
But apparently that's not what they want. And what you are offering is, if what you're offering, you say that's what they want, then you should have no problem. And the thing is, do you make room for the possibility that maybe you present the looks component, but don't present the other part of it?
I have, but I don't think.
Okay, not wanting children. Why didn't you want children?
That's when I was selfish.
Exactly. And I wanted you to say the selfish word, not me. Men don't want selfish women.
Oh, at all.
Exactly.
I've worked on that. I've
exactly
worked on that.
So selfish. So when you said I didn't want children, you notice I keyed on that because I'm like, well, there's a selfish one.
Yeah.
Because most women don't want children because I don't want to mess up my body. I don't want to, my life, my career, my this, that, whatever. It's all about you.
Okay, so you get the gist of what he's doing. Like, the way Kevin talks to women, it's in a direct manner on the reflection of who they are. He essentially, what he aims to do is to break them out the delusion of they don't have to provide anything for the man, and the man has to give to them. You kind of get the gist of it. You see this girl here, she's really pretty and everything, and she's calling into the show to really help herself with why she's single and everything. And as you can kind of get from what they were talking about, she's the type of woman that we see in today's society a whole lot. The woman who's like very pretty and could do the most basic of things, but she feels like she's entitled to get a dude who earns a lot of money or has like a lot of notoriety. And granted, she is the type of chick that these dudes would definitely pick up. But because of her attitude, she's the type of chick that they will hook up with. Not the kind of chick that they would marry and stuff. And a lot of women tend to get that confused because since we live in a hypersexualized society that says we're all equal, many women think when men have sex with them that equates to like romantic feelings. And while that can be true, and there is a certain level most of like affection most men will have for you when they do decide to sleep with you. For the most part, that's usually not the case because for many men, when we're horny, it's like it strictly goes down to our member. You know, it's an instinctual thing. It's very biological. It's not as mental as it is for women. For men, it's very biological. It's something that we want to get done then and there, and then after everything finishes, you know, we tend to want to separate because once we get that urge out, it's like in I know in Japan, or maybe they say this everywhere, you revert to your sage mode when you have some clarity. That's when you're like, she really doesn't look that good, or hey, so can you get an Uber and I'll talk to you later. That generally is what tends to happen. Now, because of the way Kevin Samuel speaks to black women, I feel like this is a very positive thing for the black community. Because the black community is matriarchal, which means the women are practically in charge of the majority of the community. Because the women are raising the children, and in the black community, there really aren't that many marriages. I think let's see, the amount of black women that's married is anywhere from like the 20 to 30%, but the amount of black women that have children is like in the 60%. Whereas for black men, the amount of black men that like don't have children is around like 50, but the amount of black men that are married is like in the 30s. So black men are married at a higher rate than black women, but we also have less children. So that means black men are getting married, black women are having kids. So black women are singularly, for the most part, raising up the whole community. And not to say that black women are the reason the black community is so terrible, but they do have to shoulder most of the blame because they are raising everybody. Like I come from a single mother. My closest cousins, all three of them, single mothers. A lot of my friends, single mothers. It's very, if you're a black man, if you're a black person, chances are your mom was a single mom. And that's not to take away from the guys, because the guys should be responsible too. But the only guys in the black community you can really say that to are the black men that understand that they have a responsibility, and the black men who are of sound mind. I'm saying a lot of these black men get raised by single mothers in very decrepit conditions, or even if the conditions are well, because there's not a man in the house, they don't truly get those real lessons from a man, and they don't really respect their mom too much as an authoritative figure unless their mom is extremely abusive. So you cannot expect those men to really learn from anything that they are doing. You just have to the women have to be more cognitive of these guys, but they decide not to because women have access to sex, yada yada. So let's skip ahead in the clip and just see like what they may be talking about now, because some of his conversations tend to get really deep.
Was he who findeth the wife findeth the good thing. Mm-hmm. The presupposition is that you are a wife first, and then right. You get found. The men you are talking about are looking for wives.
Yeah.
You're not a wife. You're a professional fun girl.
See, just like what I said.
Okay, but what am I supposed to do? Just sit down, like?
No.
So,
okay, somebody like myself, when I joke about, say, my next ex-wife, I've always said, if I would have tried to get married again, it is for one or two reasons. If I married a younger woman, it'll be because I want 2 or 3 kids.
Right.
Or if I didn't decide to go the career path, I probably wouldn't pick a younger woman. I'd get a woman in their mid-30s, early to mid-30s, and we just go live the quote-unquote power couple thing. But really, you just be living on my program. But I am a very small segment of men. You want men who are earning a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And dear heart, those men are going to get what they want. My question is, when's the last time you dated a guy who was an average earner?
What?
What's
average? What's average earner?
And you know, so you see, and this is what I'm talking about, the delusional. What do you mean what's average earner? You know what's average earner. You are an average earner, okay? You most of these, if you weren't an average earner, you probably wouldn't be calling into this show, or you probably would. But still, like, you know, like everybody knows average earner is essentially the normal guy who probably got like a house, car, or maybe not quite that yet, probably just got an apartment, you know, just living, doing his thing. You know, he's not a bum, he keeps himself up, he can pay his bills. Clearly, you see, this is what I'm talking about. It's usually a lot of delusional women.
$50,000 a year, actually 45 is closer to black men. 50 for everybody.
I don't think I'm like in those circles. I don't know. I never, I guess.
So the dilemma you have is, I'm a modern woman wanting more of a, let's just say, for a simple comparison, a Sex in the City kind of lifestyle.
It's when you have kids. I mean, at least my mom did. I feel like if I can dedicate fully to my children and making sure that they're being taken care of by their mom and not by a nanny and some random people, to where they can be like touched and what, like, I want to raise my own kids, and that wouldn't allow me to do the 3 jobs I work now, to be out.
Hold on.
3 jobs she works now. Okay. And he's probably about to give her some game too. But again, see, Kevin can provide clarity for black women in our society. Kevin actually just recently got an interview on the No Jumper podcast, which is a really big podcast, and now he's probably going to have 1 million followers by the time this year is over, because Adam 22, he's a very big person and like one of the big personalities on YouTube, and now the things he's talking about is really going to be exposed to a lot of people of other cultures, and honestly, it's going to teach a lot of women in other racial groups like how not to really act like black women. I'm gonna just be honest, because right now with the kind of society we have, like, you know, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, I've noticed, like, it seems, I don't know why, but it seems like female rappers have been influencing a lot of women of other races a whole lot during these past 20 years. And because I remember when I was younger, you used to never see white girls acting like they could twerk. You used to really never, unless they were ghetto trash or something, white girls used to not really even use our kind of slang. White women didn't really care to have big butts. You know, the only ones that really care to have big lips and stuff were like the rich Euro cack white women, you know. But now black culture is so, like, it's so big and pervasive. You see, just go on TikTok, you see all these girls doing these challenges that these black women either tend to star or tend to be the star of, and you just see like a lot of white girls, Latinas, well, I guess Latinas, though that mixes into black. I won't use them as much as like white girls and European girls and maybe like Asian girls, some Indians and stuff. And Kevin's program is definitely going to teach them what not to do. But for black women, it could really bring them, ground in the reality of their situation. Most black men are not in a good financial position necessarily, not like the best, and black women even less so, because the fact is men tend to work harder and longer than women, thus we across all races tend to make more, and there's no such thing as like unequal pay for men and women, because if women do literally the same thing men do, you know, they get those jobs, they get those pay raises, all of that. When it comes to the politics or whatever those sectors are, you know, that's whatever that is. But in general, men tend to work harder and longer than women, even black men. That's why on average, Black men are like in the 40, 45, and black women kind of like are like 35, 40. They're behind just a little bit. So a lot of these black women that call into his show, they want that 1% of black men that have $100,000, $200,000 and everything like that. When in real life, they would be better off being with a guy that's like 45, 50, maybe 35, you know, because that's just what is available. And if you guys put your incomes together and form a family unit, realistically, you will be close to that 6-figure income that they are trying to achieve. You know, it's funny, and I just thought about that now. Like, they want a 6-figure guy, but if you get with a guy that's like has like maybe $55,000 a year salary and you earn like 45, then you guys are closing in on 6 figures together. And when you marry, and this is why marriage is so important, when you marry and you become one divine unity, not unity, one divine unit, you should essentially think of yourselves as like one being. So you're being that 6-figure man that you want. But the way our society is geared, how hypersexualized it is, how hyper individualistic that it is, and how hyper I don't want to say greedy, how hyper monetary it is. It's giving a lot of women this chase the bag mentality, and it's making them also think that there are more rich men than there really are out there. There are really not. You know, think about the amount of rich people you've ever known or seen in your life. It's literally like a 1 to 10 to 20 ratio for most people. For every like 10 people you personally know, one of them is probably has a lot of money. The other 7 probably have an average amount, and then the last 2 probably like are just bums or broke or something. So realistically, for most black women, you're not going to get a 6-figure dude. And the thing Kevin also shows them is, if you really want one, though, there are a lot of requirements you have to meet. And we're not going, for the sake of the video's length, we're not going to go into that today. Probably on another video. But this girl generally meets the physical requirements. But that's her biggest issue, as you see in this video. She meets those physical requirements, but she doesn't have the mental headspace for that. Because if you're going to deal with a man that earns that much, he has probably gone through a lot of things and has disciplined himself into a certain routine, and he's living life the way he wants to, because in this world, when you have good monetary financial standing, you have certain power and influence, you know. So you were able to mold your environment much better. For example, like that, if you earn $200,000 a year, it's probably much easier for you to obtain a house than most people. It's probably much easier for you to start a business, obtain LLCs. It's much easier for you to invest. So you can spread your power and influence into different sectors, and you can build your world up around you easier than people that don't have as much money as you do. Okay, so let's just skip to another part to see what else is going on. I saw a thumbnail and her mouth got kind of big right there. You see that? Oh, and we're about to have an ad. So
How they experience you in a relationship, what would they say? She is blank.
Back then, definitely selfish.
and always, you know, she's always referring to how she was in the past. So you understand now where she is in her life.
Exactly.
But I haven't had a while.
Well, listen. Mm-hmm. That means your relationship muscles, even as poor as they were back then, have gotten worse. They've atrophied.
I love it when he be making those what are the similes, metaphors? I don't know what to call them, but that one was deep. That one was deep. And I mean, it's girls like this, in my personal experience, girls like this were the kind that really made me understand I was not built to smash and pass. Like, I had wanted to be like my cousins, you know, like, you know, they called me Dr. Phil a lot because I would talk to girls a lot. And I honestly did that because I was a Kevin Samuels. I know for a lot of girls, they will talk to me just like this, and I would just be entertained by their delusion. They will they would get smashed by these dudes and want to like love them so hard, and the dudes never cared, and you got all these other guys trying to talk to them, and they're like, oh well, he's number 6 on my list, I don't really care. I'm like, why do you even have a list? You're a girl, you don't need to have like a list or a roster. The whole world is your roster. you know um and I used to, this kind of girl right here, if I was like in college, I'd be starstruck over her. I used to be such a simp for light skinned women with pretty faces. It's you generally those, if I liked your face back then, if I really liked your face, I was smitten. It didn't really matter too much what your body looked like, but usually I kept running into girls with these insane body types. Um in dealing with those girls though, the thing about them is you can't be too much of a nice person. You can't be too much of a bum. You can't be too much of an asshole. Like, you have to be their ideal man so early and quick in your life. It was such a hassle for me, and I would get into these like, and the one thing I would used to hate is they would want a guy to, like, have the kind of romantic Hollywood kind of relationship where you talk to them, you become friends for a while, and then eventually things get deeper and deeper and it seeps into that. And I would do that. There were two girls in particular, one from Boston and one from Atlanta. And um when I did that, I got very comfortable. I wasn't thinking about closing deals or nothing. I was just so in love with their relationship, their friendship, that eventually they chose other dudes, and it kind of burned me. You know, that's why with my wife now, when I kind of met her and I really liked her, I dated her immediately, and I decided to take myself out the game because I didn't want to have to deal with these really, really, really pretty ass girls that were extremely vain, and essentially they acted like men. Pretty women are the new. They like to say black men are the new white men. Pretty women are the new men because they tend to go around and smash and pass dudes like they're dudes. And when I would deal with those girls, it just kind of like, it was never fun. The only time I would feel good about these kind of women is when I was trying to smash. These are not the kind of women you can build up any kind of friendship with. You can't build up much of a, what I want to say, not that much of a union with. They present themselves as smashable and passable, because they feel that with their youth and beauty, they have so many selections that it's like, why just choose one? Just let me just do everything. And that's perfectly okay, perfectly fine, because I was trying to take advantage of that. But I know for me personally, I was not built for that. I'm the kind of dude that's built for relationships because I want to love one person, and I would like to build with that person because I know if I have a good woman on my side, things are easier. And that's exactly what I did, because now I got a good woman on my side. We're going to be rich from crypto. And that's going to be the end of that story. But let's keep continuing.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the professional presenter. I'm not pleading my case, but damn, it's what I'm telling you is the men that you're talking about want more traditional wives, more traditional women. They don't want modern women.
They don't want modern women, and then YouTube is like, here's a modern woman.
Switched from State Farm because of this site. They had me paying $163 a month for my new car, and I got a rate for just $86.
Sex sells, people. Sex sells.
And you're not a traditional woman.
No, I'm not. Like, but there's women who aren't traditional women. Like I said, I went to Howard. There's all the women there that I'm friends with are not traditional women.
And are they all married?
Most of them.
The high value men?
Mm-hmm.
And when did they get married?
Last 2 years.
Then you found a clutch of unusual women, because I've been black a long time, and most sisters that present like you are not. That's what the whole dating down, where all the good black men at. This has been with us for the last 30 years. And you're saying that everybody that knows me knows I'll be this. All right, let's just say that's true.
Okay.
Well, then why aren't the men who want that approaching you? Because they do exist.
They do. Are they still playing games? Maybe they're out here just.
No.
They're the ones hoeing it up because it's not me.
No. See, and this is what I find interesting. You ladies always go to, well, even if they are there, they got to be doing something wrong because it's all right with me. Do you make room for the possibility maybe they're just reading that you're not what you say you are, even though that's what you want them to believe?
I mean, I can't read minds, but maybe.
Well, but
Okay. So yeah, so that's the end of that. So you get the gist of how his conversations goes. These are one of the more tame ones. She's older now. She's definitely in her 30s, so and you can feel the desperation on her face because like every time he says something, she does that look, and that's the look of contemplation of, oh fuck, really, huh? So Kevin Samuels is definitely a person we need in the black community because of his ability to say what many of us black men think and feel. And again, it's not to say that black men don't have a lot of things they could work on and do themselves, but the fact of the matter is that black women, they make the black community, you know, all, you know, they're the trendsetters and they develop the trendsetters. Black community is matriarchal. Most black people that are born in single mothers. So a lot of the black men with a lot of issues we have out there now, a lot can be attributed to where they come from, how they were raised, which for the most part is from single mothers. I know for me, again, I gave you an example of my simping back in the day when I was like in college and stuff. And I won't blame my mother for it, but I can attribute that because not growing up around my dad, you know, he wasn't able to just constantly give me the game about females that I needed. He gave me game from time to time, but growing up around my mom did kind of make me a bit soft and make me a bit feel that I had to serve women too much because, you know, I love my mom a lot and she's the woman that, like, you know, I had most of my attention as a kid and stuff, you know. Um and black women, they need someone like Kevin to get them out of this malaise and this delusion that they can just have it all in America. We are living in very precarious times. It's trying to silver pill you a bit. The value of our dollar is going down. Our taxes pay for nothing. Our infrastructure is shit. You know, our cities are basically any city that's too expensive is getting wrecked right now. Whether it's like Seattle, uh, uh Portland, Los Angeles, most of California, New York City. There's a lot going on against black people, and to be quite frank with you, many black people are going to start earning less and less and less. If everybody in America is losing their jobs and earning less, that means black people are going to get it 2 times full. And that's why Kevin and we preach marriage. Like, and the way I do it, I preach either you get married and form a strong family unit. You don't have to have kids or whatever, but form a strong family unit to keep yourself together. Or if you're going to be out here in the field and play the field, you need to play the field. Stop trying to be like Antonio Brown, just getting random contracts and then trying to do everything that you want. You know, you can't do that. Either you get with somebody or you stay out here and you don't complain. Because if you really wanted someone, you can go get someone. You are a woman. You know, that's why that's one of the reasons God made you as a woman with your kind of benefits. Like, you know, you don't have to present as many things like physically as men do. You know, you start with your looks and then you come with your love and your affection, your attention to detail, you know, because, you know, you women are very intuitive, and I feel like most women, I do feel like because of the way man has controlled nature, most women are a little bit more in touch with the natural energy of the earth. That's just how I feel. That's why you guys, mother's intuition, and you guys are like, let me smell your dick, and you can just notice things, and pay attention to things that just guys don't. Those are the kind of things that you could bring to the table, But you got to be willing to just bring it to a guy that does not necessarily have to be rich or in a field of command or something like that. Because niggas can always get rich anyway. Well, not always, but for certain sectors in life and stuff, there's a pathway to that. Don't even worry about that because most people aren't even rich and most people are getting poorer and poorer by the second. Kevin really points out how in the black community, we're a community of people that just idolize everything. And the only thing we end up doing when it comes to relationships is just hope. We just hope, 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 hope. We just hope he isn't cheating. Black women, they just hope the guy is just gonna just have it all together at 22. It's just hoping, 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 instead of taking actual initiative and putting yourself into the position where a man not only wants you, but a man wants to commit to you. But you also have to pick the kind of man that does that, and you have to understand that just by our biological nature, we're not going to be as loving as you are. We're not going to be as caring as you are. We are going to be more selfish. We are going to ignore a lot of things. We're not as detailed. We're not as crafted mentally the way you guys are. And that is the reason why there are things like, oh, you got to cook for him and you got to do this for him and do that for him. And there's a reason why, for the most part, back in the past more than now, that men had to be providers. But now I say men have to, I think it's more important that at least men have provisions and the ability to protect more so instead of having everything already there. But that's just the way we're built. And that's why you women have to give more servants to us because it's a biological thing. We're not saying you got to be slaves to us, but you guys just have the capacity to do that. Most men don't have the energy to do something like cooking for the woman every day and cleaning and stuff. You women, you honestly do have the energy to do those kind of things. I talk to most women, and most of the women I talk to, half the time I talk to them, they clean in their room or something, So I don't even bother cleaning my room. I just make sure I don't have anything to clean. But anyways, hopefully what I'm saying makes a little bit of sense. Video's getting kind of long, so I want to give off my closing statement. That hopefully I could also get to a level of a Kevin Samuels, not necessarily speak the way he speaks to women, because I'm going to be focusing more on the whole black society, but I too myself would like to stop every delusion that black people have about success and about love and all these other societal things in this country, because we're at the bottom of this country. We're at the bottom of the world, essentially. We are not in a place where we can afford to just be dating and screwing each other all randomly like this. Like, it's just a matter of fact. We cannot let Western society make us think that we all have to just go out there and free love each other and stuff like that. A lot of us are not built for that, and especially men. Not every man has the ability to go smash 20 women in a year. There are a lot of men out there like me that would like to kind of just keep things a bit, sync, 1-to-1, but the way society is, and I'd say the way the red pill is, it makes a lot of men think either they can't have women or they have to get all the women, and that's not good, because that now we're just living in a cycle of chaos. There's nothing really that's going to change, and we need guys like Kevin Samuels to kind of be front runners and the people we think of when we think of how can black people do better. And now what I hope is, what I hope Kevin does, I really hope Kevin gets more collaborative with other content creators and stuff like that. At this point, I don't care who they are as long as they're black and they're preaching a good message. Because if he's going to be like the front runner for a lot of this, what it seems like it's going to be, he's going to have to take that responsibility, not necessarily bringing other dudes up and just getting their YouTube channels up, but he's going to have to, you know, do his part in helping other guys get some recognition, because the more recognition other people get, the more the message spreads to everyone, you know. And I truly love black women. I want them to do better, but from what I'm seeing now, a lot of them are putting themselves in a position like where they want power and they want to be provided for and to be cared for and to be safe. But that's not the kind of country we live in. Most guys are not going to be able to come to you with a house. They can at least come to you with a car and a job and probably a place to stay. But you know, we just gotta be more realistic about what we're dealing with. Anyways, see you guys later.